Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Moore. I'm an adjunct English instructor with Glendale Community College, and this is a best practice video going over the use of rubrics to grade writing assignments. So there are many reasons to use rubrics for writing assignments, including um, consistency in grading, analysis of trends, whether they be short or like short-term or long-term trends, and then finally speeding up the grading process. So consistency. 10 years ago when I started teaching, when I would grade a stack of essays, and we all know this story, but you're grading a stack of essays over time. And I noticed that a B paper at the beginning was not a B paper at the end. And it was really hard to identify why, whether it was me getting tired or whatever it was. But it was problematic. It was something that really bothered me, and so I created a very basic, 5-part rubric, very very simple, to kind of keep me consistent. And it did that. And the more detailed my rubric got, the more consistent my grading got. So it's definitely helped me keep my grading consistent for students, so I could justify the grade that they got. So that's definitely one advantage. It also allows you to do analysis if you have a detailed rubric. Um, on an individual scale, you can see where students struggle, more specifically than just looking at the comments that you wrote on their paper. So you can see that this is a student that does really well with support but really struggles with critical thinking, or does really well on organization but really struggles with point of view, or really struggles on grammar mechanics, or can't do, really has problems with formatting. Whatever it happens to be, you can look at those individual issues that student has, and you can help them with the things that they struggle with and spend less time on the things that they know. So that's definitely something that really helps in terms of an individual student. As a class, you can look at an entire class, and then if an entire class is struggling with something, say point of view, which definitely happens to me, that's a red flag. It's like, okay, the entire class is struggling with this issue, whether it's, who knows why, but they are. So I know to spend more time lecturing about that particular problem. Maybe take an entire class day and talk about point of view and how to address it, or add another video lecture or something to kind of just tackle that issue straight on. Will that work? It may not always, but it definitely allows you to adjust your curriculum to handle issues that a class has, and you can see those trends. The final thing it allows you to do is look at trends over a long period of time, so you can kind of see, where students are at. And what they struggle with over time. For example, point of view, 5 years ago, I didn't have as many problems with it now, or back then, as I do now. And that's why that is. I'm not entirely sure. I blame things like, texting and Facebook and Twitter and things like that. But it's definitely an issue, and because I know it's an issue, I know I need to spend more and more time working on that, or maybe I even need to make it worth more on the rubric so they pay more attention to it. And that's definitely something it allows you to do, is look at trends and analyze trends over time to kind of adjust your teaching style to meet those trends. The final thing it does is it allows you to speed up the grading process. Now, it can only do this, and I recommend if you create a rubric, make sure it is detailed in how the points break down. The more detailed it is, the less time you'll spend writing these things on their actual paper, and the more time you will save. Now, I'm not trying to replace, making corrections on their paper. I still make comments, direct comments on their paper to kind of tell them what they need to work on. But those kind of large paragraph length comments that, I know I used to make, I don't do anymore, because I feel that the rubric successfully does those for me. So it talks about, what a good introduction is, what good support means, what good critical thinking, what it entails and things like that. So it saves you that time, and it is a time saver in terms of calculating their grade, or, once you're done filling out the rubric, you have that grade and it's done. So it definitely speeds that process up, especially when you implement it on Canvas. So on Canvas, you have, once you create an essay assignment, down below there is an add rubric function. Now, I don't have it here because I already have a rubric. I just have the edit rubric function. But the nice thing is, yes, you are going to have to take the time to create a rubric on Canvas. So type it out in Word or whatever program you want first, have that done, and then kind of translate that into Canvas. But the nice thing is, once you create it once, you have it. You can just add it to every other essay assignment you have, and anytime you edit it, it'll edit it for every other assignment that it's attached to. So it's very very handy in the sense that it's initial time investment, but over the long term, it really is helpful. And you can do exactly what I did on my Word copy. You have longer descriptions of everything, so they understand what the point values mean. And then when you're grading, you just fill these out, and it automatically puts it in the rubric. Students see this rubric, and they know how they were graded, so they get that immediate feedback. So it's easy to implement into Canvas, and it allows me to do the kind of analysis I was talking about over time. So those are the reasons to implement a rubric. I find it very, very helpful. If it's just about creating a detailed rubric that kind of tackles the categories that you want it to tackle.